Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, for the 100th episode of Splat from the Past, I will be interviewing an old crush of mine from childhood that I've been trying to get on the show for a while, and we finally have an episode today. Vivica Davis. You may remember her. Her career has been so diverse. For all you sci-fi fans out there, she was the teenage girl on the show V, the short-lived sci-fi show in 1984-85. She was also in Morgan Stewart's Coming Home and Shoot the Moon, and she had small roles in Ed TV and Castaway and many others. And yes, I will be interviewing Vivica Davis in just a moment. First of all, I'd like to say happy birthday to my good friend, Felissa Rose. She gets more and more beautiful every year, and she hasn't been a guest on the show yet, but hopefully soon. And for those of you who don't know who Felissa Rose is, she's the chick with the dick, Angela Baker in Sleepaway Camp. So, once again, happy birthday to you, Felissa. So, without further ado, here is my exciting 100th interview with Vivica Davis. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Hello?
Vivica?
Yep.
Hey, it's Tommy and we are live.
We are?
Yeah.
Oh my god, thank God. I thought I was dead. Rise up and stop pretending that you are sheep, almighty lion. We are alive, let's rise. Okay, so we're alive. Who is listening? I want to know what your fan base is all about. Who's listening?
It's a very, very small fan base. I got like the horror and sci-fi geeks, and I got like just the 80s movie in general geeks.
Okay, what's the difference between a geek and a nerd?
I'm sorry?
What's the difference between a geek and a nerd?
I honestly don't know, but I do know the origin of the term geek. It's somebody who bites the heads off chickens in the circus.
Yeah, I heard that. My question, though, is if we've got these guys who are like super fans and really into things, because I love those guys and gals that are like really into things, eccentric, I'll call them. Do they like to be called geeks? Like, is it like a self thing? Like, would you call yourself geek? Is that like a term of endearment? Because there was a time where that was not a term of endearment.
It certainly is a term of endearment for me. I don't get offended by it, so yeah, I guess.
So you're proudly and proud of it. I'm a geek and I'm proud of it.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, I said something though, because I'm really basically the odd man out.
Uh-huh.
You look normal, but I'm always seeing it from the outsider's point of view.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. So anyway, it's your show. What are we talking about?
Okay. You're my 100th guest, and I am so honored to have you on because I had a huge crush on you growing up.
Wow. Was it in the tomboy period, or like did I ever get through that?
Honestly, it was both. I loved you, when you were just, long-haired and gorgeous, and then when you were androgynous later, I really loved that.
Oh, thanks. Well, I'm going to try to go back into the female part. Like, I kind of went fully out into the, hey, everybody's got to get his stuff done, and don't mind me. I may not be a girl. I may not be a boy. I'm just a person. Right? Well,
right.
kind of place, I think that it's time for me to reemerge as a woman.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
So I have a lot of movie and TV roles here, but first I'd like to know, when did you know that you wanted to be an actress?
Well, it's funny. It was like I was a dancer. First thing happened was I'm a little white girl from West Side LA. But like as you know, poverty doesn't have color. So even though my parents had great education, they didn't know anything about money. So that put us into a certain social world and a certain education educational opportunity. And so I got sent downtown to go to school, and it was a performing arts school on the USC campus. And that was where I was discovered. But it was an interesting week or two. I had been watching something on TV. I was about 11 years old, and I saw a movie of the week called with Danielle Brislois.
Uh-huh.
She was from Family, right? And it was called Mom, the Wolfman and Me, and it was about a single woman and her new boyfriend and the teenage daughter. And I watched that movie, and I said, I could do that. And my mom said, you could do that. I go, what is she walking in the room, having a drink and walking out, saying a few lines? I could do that. And about 3 days later, Alan Parker came to my school with April Webster, the casting director at that time,
Nice.
and discovered me, essentially, the same way that they went out discovering a lot of that incredible talent that was in the movie Fame.
Yep.
But the irony of the whole thing was that was my favorite movie. And I was going to go to the high school performing arts. I was a dancer. I didn't like the actor kids in school. They just seemed so full of themselves and so much, so much personality problems.
Right.
The dancers were just like, they were doing it with their body, like they could either achieve it or they couldn't. They were doing it. There wasn't so much I got the lead role kind of a thing. So I didn't see myself going into acting. I saw myself going into dance at a level. And I was part of a cultural group that did the songs and the dances of the world, which is what else happened to me. I got influenced by the music and the cultures, and then this cross-culturing of a little white girl going into a neighborhood where I'm now absolutely the minority, and I better learn how to speak soul, if you will. Like, they can read whether or not you're happy or you're sad or you love or you don't, or you're fearful or you're genuine, right? So that became this way that kept me in check. So essentially, when he came down and discovered me down there, what are the odds of this English director, who's the only director that I'm even inspired by?
Yeah.
Did I lose that, or am I there?
You're there.
Okay, good. Showing up at my school and discovering me when I'm 11 years old and putting me in this movie. So I didn't say, Mom, hey, Mom, I want to be an actress, or hey, anything. It was like it got almost instigated by pure potential that I believed it was possible. Like, I could do that. And then I got that endorsement from my mom who said, you could do that, right? So I started to see that wanting to do it and seeing it was possible made something potentially happen as long as I didn't block it with doubt. So somehow my whole career has been a series of, I want to work with him. I've always wanted to work with him. And then the him is Jack Nicholson. Or the him is being on this or that. There's certain things I wanted to experience in the purity of a way, and I'm noticing that career started to, the road would rise to meet.
Wow.
Take it away. So that's how that happened. And he became my first mentor. And he said, no, you're all right. He said, I went through 4 or 5 auditions and got the job. And then they sent us up to Northern California. And it was shot and produced, really, it was produced out of Zoetrope Studios, which I thought was a whole other level of interesting, independent filmmaking history lore. Where are the independent voices? Where are they coming from? How do some of these projects get made? And who are some of the talented people that get pulled in, the sort of a hurricane of it, or the tidal wave of it, or the whatever, the tornado, to pull into the center to see who gets to participate. And so much of it is whether or not they feel that you're a good match for the project. So that's been an interesting part of my life, is whether or not I fit the project. There's been 2 or 3 or 4 major things that I thought I was going to get. I went down to the wire, and I didn't get them. And it was heartbreaking at the time. But looking back, I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah.
I was almost Mallory on Family Guy.
Oh, before Tina Yothers, who co-starred with you.
No, before Justine Bateman. I wasn't the Tina Yothers one. Yeah,
Mallory.
Tina Yothers starred in it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Justine Bateman.
Wow.
And Michael Fox, yeah.
Wow.
And there were some other ones that were just by the hair of my chin, like Labyrinth with David Bowie.
Yeah.
Down to me and Jennifer Connelly. Yeah. Now, I still wish I would have done that, but just for the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have to choose about whether or not you're marketable in the kind of roles that you always wanted to. I mean, I went to acting school when I was 19. I figured I better do some training because I'd have a lot of opportunity to do some amazing projects with some amazing people. But getting an opportunity to do something like Shakespeare or something, you know, all of a sudden you get an opportunity, and the question is, do you have chops? Do you have a craft? Are you crafted? Or are you just sort of bouncing through like a kid in, you know, River's Edge? You know, bouncing through, and then when you get a little bit older and a little bit older, do you have chops? Can you really deliver? And to do that, you have to look at what roles you can actually get in this world where it's really branding and marketing and whose team is positioning which talent to be able to get a shot at the title, you know, that kind of thing. So anyway, let's take it back to the joy and the fun of what your show's about, and what is your deal, and why do you have a show?
Yeah, I've had the show for over a year now. It started out as horror and sci-fi theme, and now it's expanded to I interview actors, comedians, musicians, just about anybody that like piques my interest in the world of entertainment. Mm-hmm. And I broadcast. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. Are you you're a performer? You're also a writer. You produce. You have a vision of what's your vision with the entertainment industry? If anything were possible, if I'm your cosmic waitress, and that's really what I am, people. I'm the cosmic waitress. Think about: are you ready to put your order in? You think you want what he's having, but trust me, you won't like it.
I'm an actor, comedian, screenwriter, all that stuff. And to me, you know, acting is really a healing mechanism. And watching actors, you know, they're not just acting; they're healing people. They're healing minds. You know, to me, they make a bigger contribution to society than like a fireman or a policeman could ever do, in my opinion.
It's interesting. It's really, I think you hit on something we didn't talk about this before at any point when we arranged this, but I'm out here now back in Los Angeles, outside of my business life that took me away for about 20 years to know how to orchestrate the finance so I could actually produce the project that I produce, right?
Yeah.
That can't be good. The point I was making was, what was the point you just made? So I'm going to make it again.
About how actors make a contribution to society more than a policeman or a fireman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm out here creating what I'm calling a sacred healing theater company.
Yeah.
I'm looking at all these different talented people that I know. Some of them were professionals, you know, in the entertainment industry. Some of them are just so spectacularly brilliant. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at how to bring together a repertory company, some sort of company that's coming together to move projects forward that, through the healing power of drama, right, or the healing power of laughter. There's a few tenets. One, a twinkle of mirth is needed on Earth, right? So if there's a way that we can bring that healing is the main thing. Mm-hmm. So if the entertainment is music and film and storytelling and being able to see yourself in something else, or I believe that this medium, communication art, it's the art, right?
Right.
Can actually transcend our social, political, and economic boundaries and reveal our inherent relatedness, how we're the same. And all of a sudden, you see somebody. I was just watching a little thing about Mike Tyson, who finally did a play.
Yeah.
Did you see that by any chance?
No, I heard about it. Yeah.
Did you hear good things or bad things, or what did you hear? Was it?
I didn't hear a critique of the performance. I just heard he did a play, and I thought that was the funniest shit ever.
Well, what's interesting about it is it's a one-man show about his life, and it was written by his wife, and it's guided by him and his wife, and he's a different dude now that he went through a bunch of stuff, including like his 4-year-old daughter got strangled in a terrible little accident in their gym.
Yeah.
And like, you know, things that happened to him changed him. But the interesting thing is the healing power of drama.
Mm-hmm.
The healing power of being able to kind of use this unique medium to process and address all the stuff that gives us an opportunity to have a wisdom-inducing experience.
Yeah.
And what else can you do that creates a wisdom-inducing experience? I mean, what, drugs? I mean, that's not necessary, unless you, I shouldn't do that again. That's wisdom.
Yeah.
You know? I shouldn't drink like that. What was I thinking, you know? So that's why trying to look at how do we use our passion for this field of creativity and this field of working with other people in this passionate way around this obsessive, creative teamwork. I mean, the amount of teams it takes to produce something properly is amazing. Most people have no idea. I mean, they see the credits at the end if they watch them. They know there's a lot of people, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's when you say the healing of it. How do we use this stuff? I love, you know, what's happening with comic books and the hero's journey and the way these mythical stories are coming to light, and the way that we're able to use all these different channels now to have an authentic voice come through.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see some authentic voices coming through. That's exciting to me. I want to know who the next. Give them the tools and let them run. That's what I'm up to. Trying to see if we can't create some sort of environment where some really amazing people can come together and start making projects, like what George Lucas did when he created Lucas Ranch. You know, but he was doing just, you know, Roseville. But there's so much that we can do if we start reaching out and inspiring each other and backing each other's play as well. I mean, that's what I'm up to, looking for teams, looking for people who want to go make independent films, people who want to scratch it together. I helped start the Filmmakers Alliance. You know, there's a lot of ways that things can happen, but I think there's a new movement that's happening, and we can do a lot of things virtually as well. Look at, I'm just talking and talking. Why don't you hit me up with all those questions about stuff that has to do with the movies and stuff? Oh, I have one thing to say for today. I was on ER, it was the 100th episode, so I love to do the 100th episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the thing that pushed it over the wall. I was like, oh, I have to be on the 100th. Of course.
Nice. Okay, so let's get into the rules.
Okay.
Okay, so going back to Shoot the Moon, you worked with a powerhouse cast. You had Albert Finney, Diane Keaton, Karen Allen, Peter Weller, Dana Hill, Tracy Gould, Tina Yothers, just before Family Ties. I mean, how was that experience? Was it intimidating?
When I first went, see, I didn't have anything to compare it to, right? I knew I connected well with the director, and I'd seen Tina Yothers in the audition hall. I turned to my mom and I said, Mom, she didn't get it. She was just so right for the little Molly character. So we all went up to San Francisco to shoot this thing, and it was we got put together as the girls, right? And so the girls got put together. Dana was 16. No, Dana was 18.
Yeah. Playing
14. And I was only 11. And I think Tracy was 11 and Tina was 7.
Yeah. So
there we were with our respective moms or guardians. I went up there with my grandmother, and we lived in San Rafael, and the project was shot in Marin County. So the first thing that happened was they gathered us together, put us on in a van. It was Diane and Albert and Alan Parker and the girls, and we all went down to Pier 39 in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And we wandered around like a family all day long, and he photographed us so that there'd be a lot of photographs in the house of us as a family. And he gave me a camera that day, and he said, "You are a filmmaker. Take pictures. I want to see how you do it." So we became that was my first professional mentor. My dad was my mentor, my neighbor was my mentor. But this was my first filmmaking mentor. And so on one hand, like I had, like he was my buddy and he wanted me there and we wandered through and got this stuff and the intimidation of who these people were. I didn't know who Diane Keaton and Albert Finney were. They weren't in I was 11. So they weren't really in oh my God, it's those guys, right? There were just a couple of actors, and these other girls hadn't really done much at the time. So we were all sort of neutral and excited about working with Alan, you know, and all this.
Right.
And the first day of shooting, by the way, Alan shoots everything he can in sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a totally different style than what they do when it's all about, you know, what's effective and what's, you know, cost effective. Sometimes it turns out to be more cost effective for him because he gets a continuity in the delivery for the performance for the actors. So I didn't know that. I had nothing to compare it to. So the relationships that were developed on an Alan Parker set are totally different than anyone else. Mm-hmm. Partially because he was working with these guys for years on end. He shoots in sequence. They had all just come off the movie Pink Flies the Wall.
Yep.
You know, this is a very tight, interesting group of people who had been working together since he was making commercials back in England in the early days. So there was this weird familyness to it. They actually moved the house to shoot the movie in, and at the end of the movie, the producer got the house. And so I started to learn a lot about, like, oh, this is a good way to do things. That's interesting. Years later, after working on 50 productions, I can tell you, to this day, I still want to make movies the way he makes them.
Yeah, he's one of the greats. And he hasn't really done much lately. You know, I hope he's doing okay health-wise.
I think he said he's done. I think he said he's made as many movies as he needs to make. I'd like to get over there and interview him before it's all over.
Yeah.
These guys are getting old, and I'd like to just thank them for, you know, coming to South Central and picking out some toe-headed kid with some big mouth.
Yeah, maybe that's a goal you can consider, you know, interviewing him.
Yeah, definitely. That's where I'm at. I really want to go talk to these guys who have so much to offer. And they're not hot right now, right?
Yeah.
So all the period where they'd be available to actually be, you know, to pick their brain or to be a master class or a mentor or just a fantastic interview, people aren't thinking about them. And then they're going to die, and then they're just going to talk about it. Like, oh, they were so great. Well, there's still some greatness to do right now if you can tap into that mentor. That's what I'm interested in. Muses, masters, and mentors. Can't we somehow get access to these guys and have them coaching us? Yeah. They're not in demand right now. They're not off in, you know, Tanzania making the new blockbuster.
Yeah.
All right.
And then,
so anyway, back to the roles, because we don't have forever, do we? We only have this now moment.
Yeah. And then you did the classic, short-lived, and underrated sci-fi series, V.
That's the one that's coming. That's about to be a big comer. It's about to come back.
Yeah.
V's about to get huge.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting. I think, and this is like a sneak peek on anything in the world, I did meet with the head of the studio by accident in the middle of another deal entirely. Mm-hmm. And I asked him what he was producing, and he said he was producing this $60 million thing called V. And I looked across the table at him. I said, yeah, I starred in that when I was a kid. And he was like, what? You have to be in it. You got to do a cameo, right? So I think that the people are coming in town tomorrow, and we're going to start talking about a bunch of different things. And if that's viable and real, I actually may indeed be in it.
Oh, that would be great.
Isn't it going to be the greatest? That would be the greatest.
I love that. Next month, I'm going to meet Robert Englund at a convention.
Oh, really? Where?
It's called Fandomic Convention in Sacramento.
keep me posted on that. I haven't seen him in a long time. I'd love to go.
Yeah.
I'm trying to wrangle a few people that are just from the classics, you know, that I have. That when people go, "Don't you know him?" and I go, "Oh my God, yeah, I do know him." Like, there's so many people who went off and made huge careers for themselves, and it dawned on me that I knew him when.
Yeah, I'm going. Really? I'm going Saturday, June 3rd. I'm trying to get press badges for it, but I will keep you in the loop.
Oh, definitely do. And if you want to, if there's a way to make it official where you could say, hey, listen, we're going to put 2 of the B-cast members together too, like a surprise, this is your life or something like that. The more kind of structure to get, the easier it is for me to fit it in my schedule, because people wonder if I'm doing something esoteric or if I'm actually taking care of business. And that's business. So
yeah.
I'd love to go, you know, rock up on some red carpets and do some stuff and get some interviews. Well, just shot, you know, just surprise. What have you learned since last we met?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you did the underrated classic. This is where I fell in love with you. Morgan Stewart's Coming Home.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was a trip. You know about that, right? You know that it was being directed by one guy, and
yep.
He went off there to do it, and then he quit, and then they got another guy, and then that guy wouldn't put his name on it, and then it ended up being credited to Alan Smithy, and anybody who knows who Alan Smithy is, that's the great credit in the sky for any time somebody's taken their name off of it.
Yep.
Good old Alan Smithy gets the credit. And, just what an interesting little movie that was, and how the production company didn't have it together somehow with distribution, and it came out at the same time as Mannequin.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep.
it just didn't get what it needed, you know. Same thing with Ed TV. It came out at the same time as Truman Show, and it was like misunderstood because of it.
Yep.
Interesting. I'd like to see several of those things get their little fan base looking out, you know, now that you can watch it on demand and things like that.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Did you see anything? Got anything?
What was that?
It's amazing where we're at with movie on demand, where you can literally see the things you've been wanting to see, and you used to have to come through the movie theater, or it had to be, you know, they had to actually distribute it on video, or a lot of things never went to DVD or video or anything, and like how are you supposed to find it? And now that we have this tremendous access, I think a lot of great new filmmakers are going to come out of it. People having access to really good work.
Yep, I definitely agree there. The original director was Paul Aaron. He was just coming off of Glenn Close's movie Maxie, which I love because it was shot in my hometown, San Francisco. And
nice.
I just love you in the role of Emily, because I always remember those yellow gloves you wore.
Yes, the ones outside. Yeah, I always have so much to do with the costumes. It's my thing. So I'm like, Emily has to wear this, and Emily wears these, and these have to be, her theme is like the rubber meets the road, and this has to be like yellow, like, you know, construction yellow, or like racing black, and, you know, all that stuff. I love that we got to make an 80s classic.
Yep. People think because it has a name in the title, they think it's a ripoff of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and it's not.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not.
What was it like?
It used to be, it was called Homefront to begin with.
Yeah.
You know? But it didn't really mean much after, you know, Ferris. And it's so funny how we've got to go hit up John Cryer. That's who we got to knock on his door. That guy, I mean, I'm telling you, he was like, what they call him, the poor man's Ferris Bueller.
Matthew Broderick.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
It was, and they, you know, like Matthew Broderick would get the Broadway play, and John Cryer would be his understudy.
Yeah.
For real, they did Equus on Broadway, and it's like it was always that way. And I wasn't sure what his career was going to be after he got through the Hughes years and sort of struggled with that. And then it turned into 2.5 Men.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I heard he's making about $800,000 a week. So I think we should go talk to him about donation to our Or help a creative out, adopt a muse fund, people. Come on. Help the arts. What do you think? $800,000 a week. Let's do this.
Well, he's very difficult to get in touch with because I had a guest on who worked with him in the 80s, and she told me she's been trying to get in touch with him for years, since 2.5 Men, and she said it's not easy getting through his publicists.
Yeah. The other girl, one of the girls, here's a nice little crossover. Remember the movie PCU?
Yep.
Everybody else in there?
My dad took me to see that movie.
And Spade and Favreau. How about Favreau's career?
Yeah.
Right? Now, the funny thing about me, most people don't know, is I'm a photographer and a painter. And so when I'm on set and stuff, I tend to take portraits. And, of course, people love pictures of themselves, especially when they're good. And then you become their photographer. So I photographed a lot of these people early on, and their headshots and their publicity stuff and different stuff because they were comfortable with me and they knew that I could see their talent and their beauty and I could photograph it. But it's so funny that I had a whole different point that I was trying to make before I segued over there. Jesus, I'm all over the place. Back to your point, and I'm sure I'll come down around with my point. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Let's move on.
Yeah.
You were on the very last episode of the worst sitcom of all time, The Charmings.
Oh my God!
I used to watch that show with my mom, and I thought, even back then when I was like 4 or 5, this show sucks.
Yeah, there were so many. That's the thing. It's like a desert of bad television. And sometimes the television, there was a whole era there, where before it broke out and before cable came, where things could have, more adult themes or more realistic dialogue, or I don't know who was producing things, but I think with the sort of the immersion of reality, like rap music, I'll just take it to rap music. As soon as they started to kind of get raw and get real, like rock and roll was one thing, but it wasn't really affecting television except for in the shows that were about like the culture, right? And so once again, I've got so many things in my mind that I want to share, and here we are on a small radio show, and I only have so much time, and I've done all the talking, and I want you to talk and be able to tell your information. So I feel like I've been a horrible guest so far.
You've been very informative, and I'll tell you something, I've had some pretty bad guests who didn't let me talk the entire show, but you've been very good.
Well, let's go with let's theme out in what would be, the greatest thing for your show. What is if we could be of service to each other and bring forward something that's really the epitome of a great show, what would it have in it? What's on our time left? What do we got, a half hour?
Yeah, about a half hour, maybe even a little bit more, depending on your schedule, I can do.
Okay. All right.
And stuff. Yeah, I just I bring up the movie rules and you tell me the stories and all that.
Okay. Well, let's do that, like a back and forth rally, and I'll stay on point with the questions that you ask.
Okay.
That'll work better.
Yeah. You did this movie I love. It's a very hard-hitting movie. It's called Forbidden Sun.
That is classic.
Yes.
That's the one. It's the 25th anniversary. I want to get everybody together.
Mm-hmm.
All the girls, because the girls that were in that are, pretty interesting. Can you name them off? I'm testing your fan base here. The 5 girls that were in it?
I can name 2 of them.
Okay.
Renee Estevez, the sister of Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez, and daughter of Martin Sheen, and my brother's old crush, Samantha Mathis.
Yes. By
the way, we met her at a convention last year. He made her so uncomfortable, I'll tell you.
Oh, not good.
No.
Maybe that's the difference between a geek and a nerd.
Well,
sort of stands there, and then the geek goes, "Oh my God, Samantha Mathis."
He was a little intoxicated, just a little.
He was or she was?
He was.
Okay. Well, it's a lubricant. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard because when you meet somebody like that, so we're talking about Forbidden Son, right?
Yeah, Forbidden
This was a movie that we had to go shoot in the former Yugoslavia.
Right.
It was a British production. All of us got this movie, and we got put together, and Zelda Barron directed it. And Zelda Barron was a script supervisor for both Warren Beatty and Barbara Streisand when they directed themselves. Right? So you got to have somebody sitting in the chair who's kind of ghost directing with you. You know, how was that performance? Do I need to do it again? Blah blah blah. So this was her big chance finally at the end of her career to start directing. So British, very interesting, put together an interesting crew and stuff, and went through Fred Roos. Fred Roos is Coppola's producer.
Right.
And Fred was a fan of mine, a friend of mine. He's how I almost got Labyrinth and those different things.
Right.
And he pulled me in on that. And I used to make jokes about, someday I'll play Nadia Comaneci. And, I was jumping around making my family laugh. And then here I am, 16 years old, once again, that pure possibility thing, where I get this call to do this thing, and it turns out it's about these American gymnasts living in Crete, and it then becomes sort of almost a Lord of the Flies thing, and who's going to get it, and how's it going to go? I'm like, oh, that's me, right? I mean, it's a great psychological piece. It's beautifully shot. And it's totally unknown because, once again, with British, I don't know that they changed the name. It used to be called Full Dance, and then they called it Forbidden Son. Going there with, Cliff DeYoung was in that.
Yep.
Robert Beltran from Star Trek. That's another fun one. We got to track him down.
And Night of the Comet. He was in Night of the Comet, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh, yeah, and Eating Raoul. I mean, these are all great cult classics. And I'd love to talk to them. All these people that, did you have more fun when you were nobody doing nothing that turned into something later, or when you thought you were somebody doing something that turned out to be nothing? What's going on here? What's really going on? How are people doing with their trajectory of their career, and also how are they doing with their trajectory of their life?
Yeah. Sometimes
the thing you thought you wanted turns out to be no fun at all, right? That's what I'm relooking at. It's like, what part of it did I love? I love shooting it and making it and doing it, so I'm starting to do all that on a micro level so that I can really enjoy the pieces I enjoy instead of having it turn into something else, and by the time you're done, you never want to make another movie again. It was just too much stress and too much drama to try to deal with the industry part of it, right? So as digital cameras are here and YouTube's here, I'm starting to help a bunch of my friends with their strange little horror microfilms and stuff. I've got a microfilm going on right now called State of Matter that's just freaky, and it's wonderful. We're shooting it out here in the desert, and we're learning how to do all the computer graphics so we can do it all. Mm-hmm. And it's totally from scratch, because it's way more fun than auditioning for a bunch of stuff, and then you come in at the final end and they go, "You're so good, and we want you so badly, but we've really got to go with so-and-so because of foreign pre-sales." Nice. And when I got to that point of my career where I was a star, but I wasn't a name, the way they package these films and they finance them, with all due respect, that's the way they got to finance them. Yep. So until I or you or we come up with a different way to finance these films, that's going to be the business model as usual. And where I'm coming from is I want to unleash creativity. I want to unleash storytelling. I want to unleash the passion projects, the ones that people hold on to and don't want. They covet them because they don't want them to get raped and damaged by the industry that really doesn't care. It just cares about whether or not they can milk it or reproduce it in a franchise. So that's what I love so much about the little horror stuff. And I really enjoyed doing that movie, Forbidden Son, because of it let me travel. It let us do this wild psychological. I bit the head off a snake on that one.
Yeah, you sure did.
Didn't I? Oh my God, the things I've done. I'm not a lesbian, but I play one on television. I mean, I'm not a snake biter, but I do it in the movies. I don't know. It's surreal.
Yeah, you remind
What
me
other movie? Go ahead.
You remind me of Virginia Madsen in this movie with that hair.
Yeah, you know, I almost did Billie Jean. It was down to me and her on that. I loved that movie. Remember that one? The Legend of...
Yeah, that was Helen Slater.
Did Helen Slater do that?
Yeah, Helen Slater.
Oh, shit. You're right and I'm wrong. I loved it. Yeah, I always thought with Virginia Madsen, she's just a little bit older than me, and it was like she would get, like, there's a certain genre that you fit in. You know, like, you're the blonde. And I had to go away from being blonde because I didn't get hired as the ingenue because of my hard edge. Did you notice my hard edge?
Yeah.
As a kid, I really had one. I mean, that's what happens when you bus a little girl down to the ghetto and she has to be on the street going, "What's up?" You know, like, yeah, you toughen up. You don't get all like... And that was the thing, the other actors, like young actress girls, they're usually being brought into it by their parents. It's their parents' dream.
Yeah.
You know, I want my kid to be in the movies for so many weird reasons. That's the one wonderful part of what I, love about my career and how it happened. It happened authentically. It happened organically. I was obviously, I wasn't born somewhere where that industry wasn't happening. I was born right where it was happening, Culver City, and then seeing that, it's very much, I think we discussed it before. They say the movie industry is like a sausage factory. Right. You don't really want to know how the sausage is made.
Yep.
You don't really want to know. So I'm the person who I really know. I've been to the meat packing district of it. I've seen the slaughterhouse of it. I've seen the yards, the stock yards. That's what they call it, a cattle call.
Yep.
And so many people who are so desperate to be validated. And I want everyone to have a way to be validated. It's just they're looking for love in all the wrong places, I think. And that's why more and more I really suggest that everybody really just start doing it. Make a little micro movie. Do your 100th episode of your podcast. Do it. Because in doing it, the momentum and the opportunities of somebody who's gonna do it versus someone who's been did it.
Right.
If you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So I acknowledge you and respect you. And if I had a bunch of team, like management team and around me right now, management teams often they're trying to protect the quality or the perception of the brand of the individual, keep them from making a fool of themselves, but often they're like bean counters. They're risk assessors. They're not boldly going where no man has gone before. They're the handlers saying, make sure. They're the olive oil of the situation, right? I like Popeye and olive oil. Oh, Popeye, it always works. But they block so many good things. Scripts would get put into people's hands if they weren't being blocked. They're being blocked by the gatekeepers. The gatekeepers try to keep their job. They're doing their job, but they're not necessarily the kind of person that understands that some things need to be done. And if I had a big group around me right now trying to, push something, they might say, "Oh no, you don't need to do that show. It's not, we need to get you on the so-and-so show." Right? And I'm like, this is the show. The show is into me doing what I believe is the right action. And the right action is you and me talking about our passion, sharing it at whatever platform we can command and control.
Right.
Because anything other than that is us trying to get to somebody else's game, try to play by their rules, or being basically the narration. The narrative is theirs, as opposed to the narrative being ours. And I think more and more and more, when you said, were you intimidated? The main thing that gets in the way of people's success is the self-esteem crisis that has them get intimidated when they're dealing with the facade of a movie star versus who they think they are. Like, I'm just a guy, and that's so-and-so, right? Mm-hmm. That is just a guy over there. I know the guy over there who's going, oh my God, being so-and-so isn't so easy because I'm just the guy who's playing that role. And the reason I brought up the Mike Tyson thing is because Mike Tyson, in his show about his life, mm-hmm. at the end when he comes out and he's talking about having come off stage, he said, I can go out there and I'm playing Mike Tyson.
Yep.
Because I'm a man who's acting, and I'm going to go out there and play Mike Tyson. And if I can do that, I can get through it. If I can't go play Mike Tyson and I have to be Mike Tyson, I can't stand out on that stage and be Mike Tyson. Yeah. Right? So it's like, who do you think you are, or who do you think you're not, that you would be good enough to deserve to really play at the top level? Right? And this is really where it comes down to. Please, people, do not believe you deserve. Mm-hmm. It's a waste. Because even if you get it and you do deserve it, you do have the talent and you do have you're good enough, you don't have to be perfected. The whole thing is a perfecting, right? You're good enough. You'll get the role or you'll get the girl, and then you'll lose it because you really didn't deserve it. In your mind, you really weren't good enough, or you really weren't ready, or you really weren't worthy. And I would say the people that are successful in this business are the ones who've come to terms with either it being lucky or being prepared or somehow being equal to the task, like feeling that it's a match. Mm-hmm. And more often than you can even imagine, the guy he's clueless. He doesn't even know who people are. But because of his cocksuredness, because of his confidence, his competence in other things, right, he just naturally, he wins again. And then he wins again. And he wins again. And, here's 2 or 3 of the points coming back together all at once. Okay. Auditioning isn't easy. Mm-hmm. One of the people that I auditioned with that was in the PCU movie is Sarah Trigger. Yeah. And anytime you're getting an ensemble together, who are the girls who auditioned and who are the girls who got cast, depending on what kind of, ensemble you need. Sarah Trigger apparently was an incredible interview. She interviews great. She scored the lead in this thing, right? Right. Later on, she was on that show. I don't know what else was going on with her or if this is who she is, but she was very difficult. Mm-hmm. And everybody was like, wow, man, she was such an easy interview. Yeah. So it's like sometimes you can do a great, the ones who are good at interviewing aren't necessarily the ones who won on the set. Yeah. Some of the ones who are brilliant can't audition well, right? But later in life, some of my friends, like a guy named Craig Stark, he finally broke through because Tarantino realized he was a genius and started putting him in his movie, right? This was my acting partner back in the day. I was like, fuck, that guy's a natural. That's a superstar. But he wasn't going to be able to crack the code on the audition thing. I don't know what it was. Some weird thing that happens. Like acting like you don't want it. Yeah. Versus acting like you want it too much. You know what I mean? Like to err in either way doesn't nail it. So the irony of the Sarah Trigger thing, she had John Cryer's baby.
Nice. Wow.
You really come full circle on that shit, right? So there's a lot of strange, like, oh my God, really? And what happened to them? And they're doing what? And all these different shows that are totally unrelated to me, and then people's lives closing on around it, right? So I think we could probably get to Sarah Trigger, who has John Cryer Jr., mm-hmm. and that was a horrible divorce, apparently, like the worst. Yeah. Right? And then we have access to, the funny and the strange. But I think that, V and this Comic-Con world, mm-hmm. working on sort of my own graphic novel, really, that becomes animated because I'm learning to do the computer graphics to animate the pieces of the story that I need to. But I like low-tech animation, like claymation.
Oh, yeah. Love claymation.
You know what I mean? I like the paper doll, 3Ds and 2Ds and strange communication. I'm headed off into a direction. I can see it clearly. A little bit Pippi Longstockings, a little bit Mr. Rogers. a little bit Tina Turner. We're going to rock the house while we do it.
Yeah. So you got to
what
work.
Else is, oh, sorry.
You got to work with John Hughes on Curly Sue.
Yeah, one of those bucket list things, right? You look at it and go, I got to work with John, all the Johns you need to work with, the Stevens you need to work with, and I always wanted to work with John Hughes. Right. And here was this opportunity to play this, this character. When I went into the audition, it was this casting directors that were always trying to get me hired. And that was the Labyrinth ones and the whatever. And she goes, I think you could get this one. So we put together a tape, and originally the girl was, I think they wanted a Russian girl or whatever. Yeah. So I did all these different accents for them. And it just went on. And then the tape went back and forth to John, and he said, she's great. We're just going to have to do a Chicago accent. But her the improv part, that's how I got that job. The ability to just improv and do accent after accent. And he said, when he met me and we got together on the show, we shot in Chicago, he said, you're only two people I know can do what you do. And I said, what is this that I'm doing? He said, improv on, and it's all funny and just keeps going. He says, John Candy, Kevin Bacon, and you.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, baby, woo! So then he says, I'm taking you to meet Candy. So so that was fun.
Nice.
And and I almost did Uncle Buck. I was down to the wire on Uncle Buck.
John Candy's a hero of mine. I almost met him when I was a kid because my great uncle was a cinematographer in Hollywood.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily I got to hang out in the trailer while he was shooting some other thing, something else. But I want to look at all the people that I've worked with and all the movies. And all the directors and all the people that were nobody who are now somebody, my brain isn't probably even working because I haven't been paying attention. And take a look at it and say, who can we connect with and how can we activate them to be part of something unique? Even just a series of podcasts where they start giving their experiences. You don't have to be, Scorsese to have some practical wisdom. And people have pieces of it. I think we should start potluck productions right now.
Yeah, that would be great.
Right? Potluck productions is like, I've got a set, I've got a place, I've got a thing. Everybody come out for the weekend, and we'll do something ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm doing. I've got a place out here. I got a place in Kentucky. I moved to Kentucky after I played Winona Judd. Found a really amazing backlot Studio Aces place that I wanted to put it all together at, but the weather's really tough, and I don't have the money for the infrastructure yet. So I said, I'm closer to LA where people are, because that's the main thing. You can't get people to go places. It'd be too far. It's too inconvenient.
Yeah.
So I got a really great place in Whitewater, right before Palm Springs.
Nice.
And I've got a really interesting place. And like I said, I'm starting this little sacred healing theater company. And reaching out to different people and saying, what should we work on? Should we do a music video? Should we do a microfilm? Should we, have a camp out weekend and make something funny with kids? I don't care. I just want to be creative, and I want to do it and have fun. Yeah. Bring back the joy.
I think you can do it. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, you're not very far away. You can come. Let's do it. Let's do something.
Yeah.
People, anyone listening? If you're a geek, a self-proclaimed Comic-Con nerd of mythology, let us do something ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Even if it's just for my I'm working on a talk show called The Never Too Late Show. And it has, funny Monty Python-esque sketch stuff.
Yeah.
And a little bit Tracy Ullman, the American Tracy Ullman. I think that's where I want to do. I want to have fun. I want to do what Ellen DeGeneres does, only my way. I'm not people. I want to make things, make films, do dances, make drawings, do paintings, go on trips, crack up, make a scene at Comic-Con in New York in October.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Right. like that, and have it be our show. The show is us going to make a scene at Comic-Con in October. I could probably get the guy who bought Desilu to help us out with that. I definitely got the fan base from some like super fans over there. They're like, you got to come to Comic-Con. Let's get there's people are passionate about these things, these sci-fi things, and the under. What are the other things that you saw? So we can go back to the. People don't even know who I am, probably, right? Like, really? I've been out of it so long. Do I make a mark?
Yeah, people from the 80s know who you are.
Yeah, 80s. Woo! It's okay. I won't even know that I've come back. They'll be like, what?
Yeah.
And everyone, they won't even put 2 and 2 together until they put 3 and 3 together. And then don't know.
Yeah. I did. Let's see. You did Stalking Laura. I used to watch this movie a lot when I was younger. I love this movie.
Isn't that an interesting one? Just being able, like, once again, like on my bucket list, like, yeah, I wanna help. I want to work with Brooke Shields.
Yeah.
I think she'd be interesting to talk to. I'd like to help her be better in her search to be taken seriously as an actress. You know, I'd like to be on her, back her up. And it was interesting. It was the interesting week of my life going and playing like third fiddle in that situation because it was Topeka, Kansas. And there's nothing more grim and horrifying than Topeka, Kansas at whatever month I was there.
Yeah.
And, but fascinating to work with, like John Boy, the actor, what was his name?
Richard Thomas.
Richard Thomas, so awesome to play the creepy one, and the fact that it's all true. I like true stories too.
Oh yeah, it happened. It happened in my hometown in Silicon Valley.
Oh yeah, that did happen there. Yes, Silicon Valley. What a trip.
Yeah.
There's a lot of filmmaking happening out of that place these days. I mean, stories and series and.
It's so damn competitive. It's even competitive to be an extra down there. It sucks.
Yeah. It's kind of like when they say, oh, this is like Colorado, this is like Denver 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Silicon Valley 20 years ago. Silicon Valley 40 years ago. What was that? Now it's something else everybody brings out of the womb thinking they're going to, do a public offering on their digital coin.
Yeah. And then you were on one of my favorite episodes of Seinfeld, The Smelly Car.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Love it.
That was, by the way, in the theme of your thing. It was one of the top 100 episodes. It wasn't the 100th episode.
Yeah.
But it was one of the top. So it did make the DVD series, I think.
Yep, I have it.
Yay. That was a trip, huh? Like, getting to play with all those people. Like, what are the roles that are available? Am I going to, it's funny to use that edge that I have to be able to push around certain types of known entities, like Kramer or Jason Alexander, or even just working with Larry David. I mean, because really he was all Larry David.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then being able to, it was Julia Louis-Dreyfus was an interesting crossover because we really didn't have any scenes together, so it wasn't like we were acting together, but we were there that same week and had a chance to see, what's their lifestyle like. I don't know if people know, but when certain people move off of certain shows onto other shows, some of those shows are 3-camera live audience shows, and other shows are like one camera film shows, and they shoot them on location. It's a totally different lifestyle. And a lot of times actors, especially movie actors who get tired of the weird location life, they want to get on a series. So there's stability. So there's weekly work. So they can go in on Tuesday and leave on Friday. And, not, it's like the stabilizing of your real life, So Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I saw her as sort of a mentor. And when I talked to her about Saturday Night Live years, she said it was absolutely just traumatizing to be a female doing that. And I think Tina Fey was the next generation, and she cracked the code on it.
Yeah.
But basically, that would have been, had I gone that direction, I would have been the Tina Fey
of
that situation.
All the women in those first 25 years say it was the worst over there.
Yeah. Until all the younger boy comics came in, and she became the kind of staff writing, holding down the producing thing.
Right.
And that made them all her, like, she was the teen mom. And I love shows that are about what you know about. Like 30 Rock was brilliant because of what she had to deal with over there. But like, once again, back to that lifestyle thing,
mm-hmm.
I think I made some good choices to not try to be either push my looks, like it's all about the way I look. It's all about the way I look. It's all about the way I look. Because that changes and it fades. So you have to find character roles or interesting roles or ways to do roles that are stretching you as an actor, or it gets boring.
Right.
Because that's why I really recommend that people do theater and stuff, because at least you get to play the juicy roles. You get to play the roles and do it for real and really learn something about something. But a lot of people, obviously, they want the attention, and they want bigger attention and bigger attention. And it's not the same as if, But like I said, back to is it a glamour? It's not that glamorous. It's about what lifestyle you have and what conditions are available to you at that time.
Right.
And now we have conditions that there's no excuse. There's no excuse to not be creative and get your ideas out there. And so I'm taking my own advice and even starting from scratch and reinventing the independent film path I would have taken had I not been doing acting like my day job.
Right.
Acting was, is like most people have a waitering job or something, and then they're acting. Acting was the way I made money.
Yep.
So that was the most viable thing I could do. And the other things then became, I could be more generous with them. I could be more generous with my photography and my portraiture and my coaching, or any kind of teaching or coaching. I could give that away instead of having to say, you owe me X amount. Just good at something else that paid me well. But it's tough when you stop making, pursuing those jobs. Partially, I stopped pursuing them because they weren't interesting to me. Yeah. And then the second one was the ones that were interesting to me were very difficult to actually get the job.
Right.
And so in that way, you have to pull a Rocky. You have to write your own thing and put yourself in it. And now when I look out and I see all the series that are happening and all the YouTube stuff that's happening, it's like I just have to put away all the former rules, like the former rules of the record business, the former rules of any of it. It's all morphing. And the question is, who's going to have basically the heart, the soul, and the cojones to just do it?
Mm-hmm.
And who's going to stand around waiting for somebody else to engage them like an employee? And that's the difference. Yeah. The ones who lead, like with producing, and almost, I love seeing all these different productions and looking back on them and saying, wow. That was a totally different type of a crew, coming from a totally different type of a place, a different era where all the actors in that they were all struggling. They were all wondering if they were going to get canned.
Mm-hmm.
If they were going to be able to afford their next hit. So there's this relationship that you have with other actors. They're basically hired guns. It's like being a waiter. Very, very few actors really get a chance or exercise their ability to command something, right?
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing more and more and more actors not just see that it can be done, but doing it. And then more people like you who haven't necessarily had a break, creating a crack and exploiting the crack. Mm-hmm. And through that crack, all of the water always flows because there's more of a channel there than there is when the elite are trying to keep you out.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying they're trying to keep you in particular out. They're trying to maintain their position on the pole.
Yeah.
And they're concerned that if you come up the pole, they're going to lose their position. And this is the biggest problem that I see across the board when I'm looking at the actresses that I've worked with, and the ones that should have been modeling certain types of behavior so that the younger actresses would behave like that, right? Because that's what we do. The self-esteem crisis. The self-esteem, depending on where somebody's self-esteem is, it depends on how they act out under all these different circumstances, which wind up producing a very bad pattern.
Yeah.
You know, like ego, disconnection, trying to act like you're better. You know, anything that's false or pretense. That's not it. That's, you know, because where I come from, you get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
If you try to get haughty or try to, like, you know, act like you need something look better than something. You're dead. You're done. So I'm very sensitive to that. I'm looking out in Hollywood. I'm like, oh my God, these people, they're just acting out. If they really had any respect for the opportunity they have, they'd have a lot more focus right now. It wouldn't be a narcissistic, you know, thing. So there's another point that's really important. The reason I did so well with the relationships with the crew and the actors is because I really wanted to be of service to the whole production. Yeah. I wanted to make sure the whole thing worked, as opposed to, am I wearing the dress that I want to wear in this thing because I want to look cute?
Yeah.
Right? Looking cute is important in your career. Because the cuter you look, or the more, I don't know, tough on this thing, the more bettable you are, you know, the Harvey Weinstein, you know, that whole thing, the more sex appeal, the more guys that want to sleep with you, the more marketable, right? So it's like, do you want to push that side and get everybody lusting? And then you have to manage that whole kind of sex appeal business? Or do you avoid it? I mean, I went the other way. I just sort of made a left and went the other direction and said, well, I'm not going to have it be about my looks. I'm going to have it be about my characters.
Right.
Being able to change and transform. That'll be my brand, Chameleon. And then I'm now at a place where I feel like after 50 shows and, you know, 25 years before I stepped, you know, away to do the back end of it and look at it differently.
Yeah.
To come back around to it now, starting fresh and looking at what part of it I want to have anything to do with. The industry's there, media's there. There's so many amazing, like, for instance, I did a play when I was 14.
Yeah.
And a guy named Sam, can't remember his last name, Sam.
Shepard?
No, he did Family Ties for years, and then he made a couple of films.
Sam Weissman.
Sam
Weissman.
Yes. So Sam Weissman discovered me like 15 or 16, put me in this great play for the Olympic Arts Festival. And then he went on to do, became a big television guy. Really wanted to make films. Got a chance to make a film or two. I think he did The Air Up There.
And Bye Bye Love.
Yeah, and some really lovely, but like didn't get big critical or didn't make a lot of money or whatever. And after all that, I talked to him briefly, and he said, my kids don't talk to me. I was dealing with that. I'm in the middle of a divorce. All the stuff. Like he was successful in Hollywood, and at the end of it, he's divorced.
Yeah.
Not even happy with it. And so what he did was he went back to Chicago, I think, and started teaching. And he is so thrilled to be in a classroom with young, talented, passionate, interested people talking about the power of theater and the way to deliver character and arc. And he's passionate. They're passionate. It's a match. He doesn't need to come to Hollywood and try to do it again. He's done it. And he can possibly go in there and tell him, by the way, it's not what it's cracked up to be. You may not want to sacrifice your entire career doing something that you think is going to get you where you thought you were going to be happy. And where you're most happy is being a professor of theater arts in Chicago.
Yep.
So, what makes you happy? Me being quiet and now starting the next question.
No, you're doing
I
great.
apologize to myself for being long-winded, but I haven't talked to anybody in a long time. So here it is. That's what happens when you crack the tomb open. The vapors arise.
Here's a piece of trivia.
Okay.
When Kramer shows you his golf swing in the video store, right behind you on the shelf, Rodney Dangerfield's "It's Not Easy Being Me" special is behind you, and that's what made Jerry Seinfeld a star.
Yeah. That is totally what the little fun things that you get to do when you're in a scene, you know? Like, well, this is the shot and this is the thing. Well, we might as well put something up here, and it's like then you have the ability to do your own product placement.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld product placement. I can't wait to talk to him again. I'd love to talk to actually, what's his name? We don't even call it Kramer. We don't even call him by his other name.
Michael Richards.
Kramer. Right. All these guys, literally, I'm going to start, I think we got to get it together so we can stand on some red carpet, because I can drag them over. I can drag them over in a heartbeat. And if they don't remember me, I can look them in the face and say, really? Really now? You don't remember me. If they don't remember me, it might be a sign that there's something wrong.
Oh, Michael will remember you because you two had that passionate kiss.
Right. I mean, we end up together, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then I did a funny movie. Did you ever see it? It's a weird little independent. I mean, totally independent. But Jason Alexander's in it. Another round with him. There's some double ups. I have 2 Jason Alexanders, 2 George Clooney's, both ER, by the way.
Yeah.
The actual 100th episode of that. And then there was a comedy sitcom ER with Elliot Gould and George and me. And that was, I think, was it Lear? Norman Lear, maybe? Anyway, I think that's how I got the job. There's so many talented people. I want to work with them. I want to talk to them. I want to bother them when they're on at their work. You know where they're working? On the red carpet.
Yeah.
They have to go. They're standing there. They'll pull up. What's happening? What's going on? Never Too Late show. What's going on? And I love the double take. They do like a triple take. They recognize my face or my voice, or some of them get it right off. They're like, no way, where have you been?
Yeah.
The element of surprise. What do you think? I think we should use it. It's like the most horrible thing I have in my bag.
Yeah, that would work. I think it would.
Who should we go and talk to? Who are the top? If you look at my career, given that you are, capable of understanding the magnitude of careers, right?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at my own career.
Yeah.
Frankly, don't have a website or a headshot. Okay, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Given my career, what are the significant roles as far as you think? Who are the people that I should go back and talk to that would be worth talking to given their career? I haven't even been paying attention to their careers. I don't like you said. What's his name? Ingalls. Ingalls? Yeah, Ingalls. I know. I've been wanting to ever since I realized he was Freddy Krueger. I was like, oh, that's going to be so funny to see him again.
Yeah.
Right? Like, one of my friends made it. Yay for the crew.
Yeah. I don't know, Diane Keaton, maybe?
Yeah, okay, so she's top of the list. Diane Keaton. How about all my screen moms? They're on a list of their own.
Oh, yeah. The screen moms.
I've had great screen moms. Stalker Channing.
Oh, love her.
Diane Cannon wasn't my screen mom. She was like that. Well, some wild one.
Yeah.
Sally Kirkland.
I love her. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I've done part of my interviews with her. We're going to do something with her soon. I'd like to do something ridiculous, like a little animated, ridiculous photo shoot thing. Something fun. She's a legend.
Yeah.
Telling you.
Definitely.
Much. I mean, I'm always interested in people who were the inspiration or the connection between other people's careers, like the things that people don't really realize. Like, really? Bob Dylan wouldn't have known those people at all? Those guys wouldn't have known those guys at all if it had been for her taking them to the party at her mom's house? Like that.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic, like how it all came to be, that somebody got an opportunity to get discovered.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, when you did PCU, what was it like working with Maddie Corman? Because she's on the top of my wish list for an interview.
Oh, Maddie's the best. If it weren't for Maddie, I probably wouldn't have had anybody to really hang with. She and I, of course, we had to create that bond, that womanist bond, and we were kind of a comedy duo at that point. It was a lot like Peppermint Patty and that other girl. What's her name in the Peanuts series?
What series?
Where she in Peanuts, Charlie Brown.
There's Margaret.
And Margaret, isn't it? And Peppermint Patty.
Yeah.
And she calls Peppermint Patty Sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like me and her in that movie.
Yeah.
I was like the leader, and she was like, "Yes, sir." Anything you say, Peppermint. So she's absolutely brilliant. She's funny, and I understand she's been living in New York and doing making a living on Broadway, and got kids that are old enough to be going off to something.
Yeah.
So I want to get together with all these women that I had a great chance to. In fact, we're pulling it together. I think we're going to call it the Sistar Reunion. And Shara Blue and the girls from Wilson Phillips and all of our crazy friends Meredith Salinger and Ricky Lake and, Trisha Lee Fisher, Jolie Fisher. There's this whole gang of gals that, my friend Mandy used to be we're going to get these girls together. Because it's time. God, I'm going to be 50 soon. Can you believe it? Oh, God. Next year.
You still look great.
Next year.
You still look great.
Thanks. I'm coming back. I have not, when you go work in the yard, you don't care what you have to wear, what you have to wear in the yard. And then you're working in the yard a lot, and then, you're always working in the yard. And then before you know it, you look like a construction worker. And then you come out and go, wait a minute, I have to take off this character and go back into my communication career, and so I'm rebooting the whole thing, and I invite everyone who's listening, especially myself, when I re-listen to this, if I can stand it, to take action on thinking about what's possible in a different way. What if we just said, okay, end of that slate, let's look at what we really want and see if we can't just create an opening where it comes to us. Because that's what I've done every time in my career where I've manifested working with somebody I wanted to work with, like Seinfeld or any of that stuff. I was like, oh, I like that show. Yeah, I want to be on that show. And so the little opportunity comes, and you go in, and it's a Saturday. It was a Saturday when I auditioned for Seinfeld.
Mm-hmm.
And you hit it off. You hit it off with Larry David, or you hit it off with Fred Roos, or you hit it off with Ron Howard.
Yeah.
And these are the things that they say, yeah, I like you. I want to co-create. I want to be imaginative. I want to play with you.
Yeah.
That's why they call it a play, right?
Yeah. And
so more and more, I think the more positive, energized joy we bring to the things we're doing, that's the magnet. That's the thing that's going to draw people to you. So even the reason that I decided to talk to you more about your show, because you were passionate about it. Yeah. You were passionate about the genres, and you're passionate about knowing that my career is as sort of unrecognizable as it is for some. They don't even know they saw me sometimes. Which is like, hey, that's a compliment. But it may not be the greatest for recognizability. But then what was I going to get stuck if I would have pushed myself a certain way? I could have been like a Heather Thomas or a Heather Lockwood. You know, like I could have pushed the looks and done the blonde thing.
Yeah.
So that's when I went away from the blonde. I said, I'm not the blonde they're looking for, I think. That was when I was down to the wire with Pamela Anderson on Baywatch. I was clearly the Jodie Foster of that situation, right?
Yeah.
Compared to the Pamela Anderson version. But that's, the way that goes. By the way, out there to you and to others listening, what do you think about Flight of the Conchords? And do you know that the guy who, I guess he directed Green Lantern, or he's in Green Lantern, and he directed something else. He's directing Thor or something. Do you know what I'm talking about? Taka?
No.
Taka, what's his name? Interesting. He's one of us. And like I said, he's from New Zealand. He made a movie called Boy, and another movie, and then I think he directed some of the Conchords, the Flight of the Conchords stuff, and then got some part in, I think, Green Lantern, which I didn't see. But now I think as a director, he finally is up the food chain. I believe he's directing the huge Marvel Avengers thing right now. Yeah. Anyway, keep your eye out for him. I think he's an interesting entity, not just on one side, but like a full spectrum guy. And when I first met him at his Sundance sort of screening things, I realized, wow, this guy's a juggernaut. And he said, I don't know if I want to make movies forever. I don't know. I maybe want to, paint and maybe do music, do something else, So more and more I want to gather the people that have gotten to the place in their careers where there's always something that they also wanted to do that they didn't quite get to concentrate on because they were making a living and trying to make a living.
Did you like working? Oh, sorry.
No. I was saying, please continue.
Did you like working with Hart Bochner?
Yes, Hart Bochner's an example. Actor turned director, very brilliant. Helping him with his career when his career was directing is what you want to do, right? Helping at the time when Diane Cannon was making her directorial debut. I seem to have been there at several of these types of things where I could help somebody really be in their corner and not be fighting them, Mm-hmm. So I believe what I came to understand, Zach Penn was the writer of that, and Adam Leff. And Zach Penn I think he's the writer of Active Player or whatever that is. The player something?
I think the player, yeah.
The Spielberg thing that just came through.
Yeah. I can't think.
Well, it's a new movie that came out about, a month and a half, 2 months ago, and it's like Active Player and it's all about like a virtual world. Anyway, he also wrote Last Action Hero. You know that. So what was my point on that?
About, Hart Bochner.
Hart Bochner. So this was a movie written by Zach. Hart Bochner, I knew him as an actor. I recognized his face right away. And so sitting down with him and talking to him about this movie and this script, turns out that he told me that Jeremy Piven was the first person cast.
Right.
And then I was the second person cast. And then they went on to the David Spade and and they built that whole team around each of us alpha players.
Yeah.
And it was just fascinating because he understood so much from the actor side, and so to be able to bounce stuff around with him and to make choices with him and him appreciate what it takes to do the performance as opposed to a director who's not an actor. They never had to whip it out ever as far as emotional delivery, in time, on point, hitting your mark with the same movements that you did last time so it matches. They don't even know how to do that. They can tell you to do it, but they can't do it. So that's what's so wonderful about actor turned director. They know. The Ron Howards, the Hart Bachners,
Yeah.
It's I think it makes a better director.
Yeah, he always plays an asshole, and he's a really good-looking guy. I wouldn't mind interviewing him though. He seemed like he'd be pretty cool.
Oh, he's fascinating. He's smart, and I think it's hard. It's kind of like that guy who's on Californication. What's that?
I don't
that
watch
guy
that.
from X-Files?
I don't watch that.
Whatever that guy's name is, right?
Yeah.
It's like he's there. It's what happens when you're kind of like the pretty boy. You either have to be, I don't know, like the underdog pretty boy, or the jackass lead of the football team guy. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so many roles that Hollywood has.
Yeah.
And they don't even let two blondes be in the same movie, really, because people need to recognize what character it is. You know, so they go, okay, well, we got a blonde, and we need a redhead, or a quirky one, a fat one, you know, so you can see the differences easily. And some of that is the dumbing down of the world, and some of it is just straight up trying to follow story. You know, so it's understandable, but in that way, you get stuck in typecast, and it's no fun for a Hart Bachner who wants to be doing another type of a role, but they're like, no, they didn't take him seriously, did they?
No, especially
not really.
Since
not as an actor. He didn't get taken seriously as an actor because he was too good looking.
Well, he played the good guy in Supergirl, but that was about it.
Right, and I want to go back and get in touch with all these people and put them in a movie that I'm doing, so I get to direct them all and see how they are on the other side. Yeah. That sounds fun to me. Because then you can say, Hart, would you come do a cameo? Oh, come on. I'll just get everybody to come do a cameo, and the whole thing will be I can call the movie Cameo. Oh, Lord. Maybe they could just be guest stars in my music videos. Because definitely the music thing. Most people don't even know that my passion has so much to do with music and movement.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna get to that in a moment, but I had one last movie question I wanted to ask.
Okay, go.
You play the pilot in Castaway. That was a big production with Tom Hanks, Helen Hunt, and directed by Robert Zemeckis. What was that experience like for you?
Well, from the very front, I was out of town in the desert doing my thing, and I got this phone call from my agent that said Vicky Light is called. And Vicky Light is one of those amazing casting directors who's always a fan of who she's a fan of, right? And she's always trying to matchmake. Like, okay, what about so-and-so for this? Oh, she'd be good at this. God, I think I can get her this job. So this is one of those ones where I went in to meet with Vicky. She said it was a big movie, but it was just a cameo, but it was with Tom Hanks. Yeah. And I said, well, yeah, I'm in. So she said, I met with her, and she said, I think we can get you this job. She said, at least it's a cameo. It's good. It's like all the other roles are already taken, right? But I think this is just, at least it's you and him together. It's a nice shot. So I met with Robert. Everybody loved me. That was fun. So we went to shoot this thing, and it was shot at the FedEx grounds over at the airport, and the whole back end of it, and whatever. And I was sort of low man on the totem pole because I only had this sort of the cameo of me being the pilot and doing that little section. There were a lot more important people that were in the script. All the people he worked with, there was a whole front end of the story that apparently got cut out. But when I was in there, they shot it as a one-shot. So we got into the thing, and that was a guy, the actor who plays Nick Searcy. He played in the Judds movie with me, and he plays the best friend in Castaway. Mm-hmm. His best friend. So there we were, kind of having a old home week, but it was really just basically the three of us and some extras and Zemeckis and this huge plane stuff and all the cargo, all the setting up of that whole thing. Mm-hmm. And we had so much fun, and I was entertaining them, and they all said, they were sitting in the thing, and they go, we got to get her together with Martin Short. The two of them would be like the most ridiculous night of ever. So Rebecca says, I have to get together with Martin Short, so let's make that happen. But the FedEx thing, being in that scene and having that master shot and having that those couple of days with Tom, and I know his wife, Rita, because we played sisters in this pilot called Sisters years and years before.
Yeah.
And so they're fruition that I got a couple of days, but with Tom and with Bob and with Circe, and to have this thing come together and have such a ball on it. And then later, when we come to the movie happened much, much later because he had to then go lose weight for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was with him basically on his last 2 days of unlimited pate. Okay? He was like, I can have as much of this as I want. We were eating goose pate all the whole time. And he was, because I'm not going to be able to eat any of it. So then he had to get totally skinny for a year and then go shoot all the island stuff. So that movie came out like so long after my 3 days of shooting, right?
Right.
And the irony is all these people were in this movie, and they all had big parts, and I was, like I said, on the bottom of the totem pole. And because of the way they shot it and the way they edited it, they wound up just cutting out all that stuff in the beginning. It just wasn't important. It just wasn't important, all those relationships. So all the people that thought they had these big parts in this movie ended up with almost no part in the movie. And it was just so ironic because I had been there with the tiny role for 2 or 3 days, kind of, getting treated a little bit by the other actors like it wasn't that important, right? And then my role ends up being more important than theirs. And that's just more of the irony of being humble. Stay humble somehow. Stay humble. Like, I want to come in that movie. Yeah, I want to come in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll play the pilot. That I got a couple of scenes with Tom. I'm in. Are you kidding?
Nice. Yeah.
So really that's been the gift of it actually is often that you get a chance to really, really ghost the situation. Yeah. You're not so important that it's all about you at all, and therefore you really get to suck in what's happening with how is this crew working and how is this director getting done what he's done and how is the chemistry and the attitude and is it coming from how is the morale,
Yeah.
And basically then later, like years later, you get a chance to see it, and it's like we never ever got together. All of us, all the people in the movie never even got together ever. I mean, we went to a screening and it was pretty impressive, but movie making is odd that way, where all the pieces don't come together till the end.
Yeah.
And so it is. What's next for you?
Well, last night I listened to your album, Music, Peace, and Harmony, and...
Oh, wow! Congratulations, you have one of the existing copies.
No, I listened to it on YouTube.
Oh, for you.
I would like a copy of it. But,
yeah, I even have to do a reprint because there was only 1,000 copies.
Yeah.
Ever printed of it, right? So that's what's next. I've got to get a website and a place where people could buy my thing and some place where I could, come on, Vivica, it's time. Focus on Vivica. Come on. I have a hard time doing it,
Uh-huh. But aside from the fact that you have a very beautiful voice, we've been messaging each other for months, and I've been telling you jokes, right? So the first song I listened to, Go On, Blow On.
Yes.
I loved it, but I was disappointed because I thought it was going to be a song about blowjobs.
Yeah, different album. Now, we can do a funny sketch comedy about misunderstood titles. Definitely.
Yeah.
Blowjob on that one, yes. Go On, Blow On, and there was no happy ending for you, is basically what you're telling me.
And then when I heard... when I heard Come Softly, I was like, damn it, she's teasing me.
Oh, yeah, another one. She's doubling down in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And then not so much. Although that was it's kind of a sensual love song. That's an old song, those ones. I did 3 covers. That's after I played Winona Judd. I met a very interesting producer named Dick Rudolph.
Yeah.
Dick Rudolph's Maya Rudolph's dad. The actress and comedian. And this is when I was doing that movie, she was taking lessons at Groundlings.
Yeah.
Okay? and just getting out of college and doing some funny like thing with the Brady Bunch live show or something. You know, like just trying to get a break. Now, is she connected? Yes. Is she somebody? Yes. You know, but she's funny.
Yeah, very funny.
She earned it on her own, and she can sing and do all sorts of things. So she's one of the ones who I'm coming for, you know. I'm looking, start me a list of all the women that I should not ignore when I'm putting together this momentum posse. I'm looking for talented, brilliant women who think still have a decent attitude.
Okay, I'll give you a list.
Okay? Yeah, give me the list of all the people, especially from the point of view of the eccentric.
I was just wondering, what year did you record that album?
I got together after, I guess it was about 96, 97. It was after the judge.
Yeah.
And the musical director met me there and said, I have to introduce you to Charlie Midnight. Charlie Midnight was the guy that did the Bodyguard soundtrack.
Yeah.
And really brilliant guy. And he took me over there and said, I think you should make a record with you. And we ended up, producing this record, which is like a 10 or 11 songs, 3 covers. And so it was, I think, 97, 98, 97.
Yeah.
And I went on TV and sang and basically pre-sold like 1,000 records, and the record wasn't finished yet. And that really taught me a lesson. Because it made me having to push something to get done. It was like having a cesarean when you could have it naturally next month.
Yeah.
You know, so musically, that whole record got caught in a legal limbo with a company that I had helped to start called 1-800-US-SEARCH, locate a long lost friend or family member. And then there was an Interact Entertainment Group, which was a management company and interesting stuff that we were doing, producing videos like Sylvia Brown, the Psychic, and even that whole Heaven's Gate situation wound up coming through our company because the last sole survivor was our webmaster.
Oh.
And my partner was the one who discovered the body.
Wow.
And also, like so many things happened. But our company, US Search, we were doing really, really well. And then the O.J. Simpson trials happened. And it preempted all of the shows and all of the advertising that we had already paid for on a daily basis, right? So you could see the way that an event in life can turn into a court thing, that turns into a sensational thing that actually changes television. And then it changes your business because you can't get your advertising. And it's so fascinating to see the way the business works, and then to see the newspapers will come after you for a piece of the story, even if they don't have any reason, no connection whatsoever. They're coming after the story.
Right.
And even if they didn't get the exclusive, they'll come after a harebrained rumor about that story because it'll get them the eyeballs they need. People will pay attention if they're on topic. But they don't. So they'll create an entire industry of false information just so they can get the opening line or the cover of the magazine or the so that it's relevant. So literally, they don't care. At that point, you become chum for the sharks that need to keep swimming around and there's blood in the water, and you're the chum. And it doesn't matter if they tell the truth about you or not. They'll print a retraction on page 76.
Right.
Oh, by the way, when we said that he stole all that money and they were all efforts and they all, moved to Africa, that was not true. Wait, you wrote with that on the cover last week. What are we talking about here? So when I started to see the way that was going, that's how. Now, what was your original question? That's how rude my answer was.
Oh, about the recording, about what year the album came out.
Right. So that's how that. The album happened because I started to produce my own company so that I could get something done that was centric around my career, like producing a movie a bow for producing an album. And so when this opportunity came to make this record, we made it. And at the same time, I didn't have a major record label behind me. It was an independent offering.
Right.
And we printed this thousand records and sold these records. And then that limbo, there was a legal limbo where somebody was selling something and buying something, and it was the company.
Yeah.
And they went public, and my record got stuck in the middle of that, and I couldn't release it for 10 years.
Wow.
So then I got it back, and I was like, I've got my record, I've got, whatever washed up on my own castaway, shipwreck of a life, things that I stored that got ruined, things that I invested in that got stolen, whatever it is, you look back and say, okay, what do I have to show for this? And I think the answer is the story. I've got the stories.
Mm-hmm.
So now, as storytellers, we've really got to take on that and find the best way to tell those stories. Does everything need to be a miniseries? No. Does everything need to be a feature film? No. Does everything need to be anything? Sometimes it's just a meme. Sometimes maybe just a funny sketch comedy thing. Maybe it's a song. That's what I loved about the music. The music was me. It was the first time I got a chance to do me. That means I was going to reveal my poetry, my soul, my heart. Not an act, not a character that I could shine my light through and say, oh, yeah, it's kind of Vivica S, but that's a different character. Congratulations.
Right.
This was me and my music. I didn't want to sell myself into some bustier, fake boobery, just so I could sell records. So I've been struggling with wanting to have my music career while I was doing my bread and butter acting thing and my other passion, which is art and photography. So to pull it all together in a different way now, I'm focusing very strongly on the music, and a lot of the music I see is very good for soundtracks.
Right.
So I'm going to use my music, make some music videos, use it as soundtracks instead of my microfilms and scenes, and see if I can't even go to the next level and start recording more music, because the music's been coming through. I'm starting to see that I don't even have to worry about going to visit my friend who's got big studios and try to convince them. I can do so much of it myself now. And I'm having more fun working with people who are quote-unquote amateurs, right, than some of the professionals who can't do anything without a $50 million budget and 47 other people.
Right.
Unless it's a green light, everybody's getting paid a ton of money, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And it's like, I really see that we can do it all. We can, write great scripts and make great music and even do the graphics.
Yeah.
Even do the graphics and the special effects if necessary. So that's the fun part, is that I think the playing field is being leveled. And now our generation of filmmakers, our generation of creators, of makers, have the ability, if we can believe in ourselves enough to try, to actually start to have a voice in the entertainment industry.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has to give you a voice. You either start using your voice and compiling your assets and sharing your arts, or you don't. And I'm in that place where I'm either going to reorchestrate them and start, making them available to the world, or not. This is the now time. So
Yeah.
I think it's technology and timing and just everything. People are more activated to either put up or shut up. And there's a lot of people who've been doing a lot of things for a lot of years who are finally willing to admit that they're not happy. And
Yeah.
until they can admit they're not happy, they can't admit what would make them happy.
Right.
And I know that when we get everybody working on something that would make them happy, that makes them happy to be working on it, like, thank God I'm not doing that anymore. I'm finally working on my comic book.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. Follow your bliss. Hardcore double down. Go into it eccentrically.
Mm-hmm.
I have some thought forms to leave people with so you know where I'm coming from. The idea that you're service-centric. eccentric. I'm looking for people who are service-centered. That's eccentric about service.
Mm-hmm.
That means they know who they are and that they want to serve, what they're serving, or who they want to serve, right? They want to be of service somehow. And that attitude and the gung-ho eccentric part, that geek, the eccentric geekity of it all, right? Being willing to geek out on something and get totally into it. That's what we've got to do as a humanity. Can't act cool anymore about it. We have to totally say, I admit it, I'm a complete nerd.
Yep.
I'm a complete geek. I'm a total, I play with my food and make animations, okay? I admit it. I like to do that. More than I want to go do something where I look cool. I like moving things around and taking pictures of them and making them animate. That makes me happy. I like making me, I like food. So we can get together and power each other's passion and also take a look at where our heartbreak is. Because wherever your heartbreak is, that's where your power is. That's where your elixir is, you mythical geeks of the world. Dungeons and Dragons, this bitch, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Find a way to get your character and all your powers and your abilities and your 27-sided dice of it all, and see if we can't create a mythical reality in which our alter egos can deliver at an epic level. Because the normal story that we have and the normal identity we have and the normal lives that we have don't seem like they're made of the same stuff,
Yeah.
as the mythical reality. And I'm saying that it's ironic, but I think it's the same stuff. It's just whether or not you can see it as the building blocks of what you would be able to, I'll trade this in exchange for that. I'll trade no possibility for the possibility of possibility. And back to the cosmic waitress. If you have fire in your heart for something that brings you joy or that interests you, let's pursue it now. Let's pursue that. I'm learning editing. I'm starting over. And I think it's got to be not only possible to start over, but it's got to be priority.
Right.
Because if you don't start fresh and figure out what I'm having the childhood I never had. I mean, most people don't know about my cruel, unusual childhood, but there's a lot of unsavory stuff going on. My dad was epileptic. He was alcoholic. He wound up in prison. The way that we were perceived, financial stuff, being bucked around, and the whole, evolution of behaviors that happened. Like a lot of my friends were, gangsters, and they got caught up in being in the wrong side of town and being associated with the wrong little gang, right? Well, my other friends are Hollywood gangsters.
Yeah.
Their clique makes movies. You see, it's just like they don't have the same access. They organize, they do, they whatever. It all takes intelligence. I just would like to see some of the people with the talent and the intelligence who don't think that they're good enough to understand clearly that not only are they good enough, they're actually here to deliver on that passion. And so any way I can support that small voice in them that says, I think I can.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I started doing comedy when I was 23. I enjoyed it, but I didn't have confidence. And by 28, I was a bad alcoholic. And 31, I got into a car accident. I spent 30 days in a coma. And then when I got out of the hospital, I thought to myself, life is too short. I want to pursue show business, and that's what I'm doing.
Yes, that's right. And that's why we're having this conversation. That's why every instinct that I had said, yeah, let's have that conversation. Let's take out the arrow, take out the bow, and pull it back and put aim on the focus, which is, if this is my one life, and I've done it half-assed in certain ways in order to reduce the risk that what life is, or to avoid the judgment of unfulfilled expectations. You know, what other people think about me is none of my business.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to get on with what I know that turns me on and find some support shelter, somebody who's got my back or who can cover me when we're putting on crazy costumes and going into the desert for some crazy photo shoot on some video that doesn't even exist yet. And everyone's like, what are you doing with your career? I'm like, working with amateurs. It's great.
That's pretty good.
Because the magic is there. I'm telling you, it is the path to success. I recognize it the same way I recognized it when I got discovered when I was 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a pure possibility there, and we can focus on it for about 17 to 20 seconds without killing it energetically with doubt,
beautiful.
it will start to grow. And yeah, it may take 5 years for that tree to give you pistachios, okay? It doesn't even bear fruit or nuts for 5 years, right?
Right.
But it's like, don't dig it up or stop watering it thinking that there's not enough nuts to make it worth anything. It's going to take a while for that harvest to happen. In fact, I'm now coming back to lands that I let grow over, almost like crop rotation.
Mm-hmm.
I did 20 years of almost like over farming my same little plot of land. And then kind of let it go for a good 15 years. And then now I get to re-emerge on the scene in a whole new way, because it wasn't like I was attempting to be in the business and I wasn't showing up anywhere. I stepped away. I said, well, why am I going to say I'm available and then I'm off in another country talking about a power plant?
Right.
And they want me to come audition for this thing, and they really, can you come as a guest star on some TV show? And you're like, wow, they're actually offering it to me. I don't even have to come in and whatever, but I'm not in the country. I can't go do that this week. So I start to see my priorities changed.
Right.
From, into wanting to do something global, into wanting to really network and make deals to bring an enlightened funding network or a dynamic studio project or studio ACES where, like Sundance Institute, nurtures the process. I think somebody needs to nurture the process. That's what studios do.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm up to. I'm up to creating an alternative studio and global or universal network of broadcasting that has to do with individual voices, developing those voices, developing storytellers, interactive transmedia broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm talking about something that if you're interested in it, you can let me know and you can get the recipe and then you start working it out and I start sending you some of the ingredients even. If you're willing to say, I've got the oven and I'll bake this recipe. I'll say, great, here's the chocolate chips and here's that weird vanilla and here's the da-da-da. You just have to put the rest of this shit together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's somebody who can literally, I'm interested in collaborative art. I want to come up with something that allows you to participate with me. Because if you can't participate and you're just a viewer,
yeah,
then you're learning what I want you to unlearn. I want you to learn to be active player,
right,
not passive player. Because until you realize you're up, that's you, hockey. You're out of the penalty box. You're up. What? I'm a bench warmer. Not today, you're not.
yeah,
It's Hail Mary pass time. So the fact that you had to go into a coma, almost all my friends have had strange near-death experience.
yep,
Full blown, and say, oh, well, I'm not dead. If that didn't kill me, I must have something I'm supposed to do here. And if I'm supposed to do something here, I might have to start asking the question to myself, like, what do I love?
right,
And if you can write 100 things that you love on small pieces of paper, put them in a fishbowl, and start pulling out 2 or 3 at a time and figuring out how you could propose those 3 things. Like, I love roller skating. I love retro, like funny 70s stuff,
Yep.
80s stuff, and I love music videos. So I'm going to make a music video where I'm roller skating and I'm doing it retro, and I know that those three things going together will ensure that I'm interested. And I haven't just gotten to the place in life where you left the building on why you participate, right? For instance, I always said, if I'll do it for free, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
If I won't do it for free, I shouldn't do it for any amount of money. Now, that's me being extreme and purist and trying to keep myself from being full of shit and winding up on a bad sitcom. For the money, because that's what happens. You say, oh, well, what about this? What about that? And you think, well, that's not bad. That's not what I really want. And there's the beginning of veering off into a land that's not going to solace the will. Right? Where do you want to go?
Mm-hmm.
You say, well, I'll go around. Well, if I go here and become successful here, then I'll be able to write my own ticket.
Right.
You know what? Start writing your own ticket now. Because we're going to be more interested in you and your integrity that you never sold out to do something that you really didn't believe in, trying to sort of ace it so that somebody would notice and then let you do what you really want to do. No. That's like going that's like three lefts to make a right, or three rights to make a left, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Could have made a right, but you didn't get together, so now you have to make three lefts to get back to it. Got it. Let's not have to have another coma. Let's not have to have me become so depressed in my marriage and so out of my element, if you will, like a mermaid who's not in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You got to get back into your ocean, and your ocean is that which feeds you electrically like energy. Because if there's, if the energy of trying to do something has got you depressed,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to attract anything but conflicted everything. Everything that you attract to it is going to be like it. So this is why we have to clear our field and dump our trash and get rid of the diaper pail if we think we're going to get fresh something.
Right.
And so I'm inviting everyone to join me on my I'm rebooting, I'm starting over. I'm not going to try to pretend that I didn't, let certain things take my focus. And now I'm taking my focus back. And I'm going to focus my energy purely on that which brings me creative joy. And in that creative joy, I know that seed will be nurtured long enough where even if it's 5 years from now, our humorous post-coma commitments are going to bear fruit. I promise. Because that's the way it really rolls. And if any of the seeds that I planted when I was younger that all are like big asks,
yeah.
they take time to come around. And I think I may be being positioned to be significant at this time for women leadership and media. If I am to believe that I've been groomed for some reason, that I was brought onto this planet with certain talent and brought into this world in a certain neighborhood with a certain vision, right? I've always had this passion for Lucille Ball and living in Culver City and understanding her as an actress and then also as a producer, as a visionary leader, as a muse of the modern media, right? And I was like, when Spielberg said to me, you're the next Lucille Ball. We want to be in business, right? And I'm like, wow, okay, all right. So now I auditioned for lots of things. Not everything was my job, right? I'd go into a thing and I'd say, this is a great role. I don't think I'm really right for it, but it's great, And I was coming from that other place trying to connect with filmmakers, knowing that there might be something else some other time, and I'd rather them get a good sense of who I am than just that I wasn't right for the role.
Right. Vivica?
I know I'm not right for it. Yes, we have to go, don't we? It's over.
I have 10 minutes of power left. I want to tell you 3 jokes and then wrap this up, if it's okay.
Great, okay.
I will have...
I'm going to put you on mute really quick because I have to turn on the air conditioning because I'm boiling in my truck, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm putting you on mute. I'm going to listen. I just won't be responding until I laugh out loud.
Okay. I just wanted to say I've enjoyed talking to you. You've been very zen and insightful, and I do want to have you back again.
That's awesome, and I'm totally in. I'm going to go ahead. Tell me your jokes.
Okay.
Go back and forth. Humor. Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
Why do blondes have purple belly buttons?
Purple? I didn't know they did, but I'm going to play along. I don't know. Why do blondes have purple belly buttons?
Because they have blonde boyfriends.
I think that just went through something. Under, over, I didn't get it.
It means they put their dicks in the wrong hole.
Oh. Purple. Oh, you have to say bruised.
Okay, purple or bruised.
Well, purple doesn't, purple mean, I don't know, they put their markers in there, and, you know, their eyeshadow, because, you know, they think it's their third eye. I don't know. But,
I never heard that.
okay, we've evolved that one. Yeah, why are their belly buttons bruised? Because they have blonde boyfriends, too. Or their boyfriends are blonde, too. Okay. I'm sorry if I shattered that one, but
It's
you know
okay.
me. I'll straight shoot. If it's funny, I'll laugh. Or I'll say, no!
Okay. Why do men like to marry virgins?
Why do men like to marry virgins?
Because they can't stand criticism.
Good one. Okay, next. The final chuckle.
Why is aspirin white?
I don't know.
You want it to work, don't you?
It's rude. It's not even really right, but because you know it should be brown if you want it to work, right? It should be Latino.
Yeah. So,
Lord knows.
Vivica, I want to thank you for being my 100th guest, and you've been very insightful. I want to have you back on, and I want to meet you in person one day.
Yeah, well, where are you? You're just up in the LA area, right? Like,
No, I'm in Reading.
Reading is above San Jose?
No, it's just a couple hours from Sacramento and about 7 hours from LA.
Got it. Well, are you coming down? You're going. Keep me posted on the Comic-Con things and where you're, what your schedule is, because I want to see if we can't, cross over something you already have going. And if I do I'm out in the Palm Springs area, and I am going to get to LA to do a few things. So let's stay in touch and see if we can't see how the garden grows now that we've planted some of these seeds. Seeds of possibility.
Yes, I just sent you a friend request.
Oh, great. So we'll get on with it. I am absolutely pouring. It was like a sauna experience.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in my truck. It's probably 100 outside, and I didn't want to put on the air conditioning to ruin our little podcast. So I am now officially coming out of the sauna. And I'm going to go take a dip in the Whitewater Canyon, where we're going to have some events. So maybe
Nice.
come to one of my events.
Nice.
The Whitewater Canyon. Okay, we're going to have like a Mad Hatter dinner party, and everybody gets to be in the music video.
Nice. This is my longest interview. My second longest was I had Stephanie Hodge on for 2 hours and 7 minutes, just talking dirty and laughing the entire time.
Talking dirty and laughing, that's always good. Of course, my alter ego is telling me, Vivica, don't go completely out there. People will think that you're a hacker.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Vivica Davis. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Vivica. That was one of not only the longest interview I've done, but also one of the most insightful and interesting interviews I've done. And I'm glad I got to do it. If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Happy 100th episode, and later, dudes.